Stress to Rest workshop. We're very excited to be back here. So thank you so much for having us. So let's just take a few minutes to introduce my husband and the doctor here who's going to be giving the talk, Dr. Matthew Lyon. Dr. Matt is a wellness expert who teaches across the United States and in Europe. He's the author of 2 books, and he has worked with Olympic and professional athletes, Hollywood stars, presidential advisors, doctors, and people fly in from different parts of the United States to see us at our practice. He has worked with people from 2 days old to little babies to people who are 100 years old and older. And he holds the highest level of wellness certification in his chosen field. And he has been practicing body-mind stress reduction tools for 20 plus years and has been teaching them for many, many years. So you guys are in for a real treat today. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Matt.
Hey guys, it's great to be back. I'm excited to see a bunch of familiar faces and some new faces. Just glad to be back. We love coming out here, and we're really grateful that Dan invites us out, and just glad to be here. This is my favorite topic to talk about, stress. Everybody has it, right? It's inevitable, it's unavoidable, and we can actually turn it into something really, really positive. If we don't, however, what I can tell you is that stress is the cause of 80 to 85% of all human health problems and illness and disease. It really is the underlying cause. So, how many of you, just by a show of hands, I know you're eating, but how many of you, if you had a choice, would like to feel more energetic, more healthy, more flexible, like no matter what life throws your way, you have the capacity to adapt and be flexible and enjoy moment to moment? Right? So I think if we can understand stress more, because stress is actually what takes away our ability to do that, we can have more of that experience of the fullness of life, regardless of what's going on. So stress is interesting because oftentimes it's the critical momentum, it's sort of the pressure cooker, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back with most health problems. So you can have high blood pressure, you can have high cholesterol, you can have a previous low back injury, you can have a neck injury, you can maybe have struggled with depression at some point earlier in your life, but stress often is the trigger that causes the flare-up of most of these things. Stress is the number one precipitating event to cardiovascular accidents, meaning strokes or heart attacks. Stress is the number one thing. Coronary events, meaning heart attacks, they happen every 25 seconds. Did you know what the first symptom is for most heart attacks? Stress. But the first symptom for most people, unfortunately, is death. But it's true. One of my friends in Seattle was a cardiologist. He was on an airplane, and they gave the call over the intercom. Is there a doctor on the plane? And he's like, well, I don't know if I should say yes, but I will. So he got up, and someone had a heart attack. And as he told me that the guy had basically gotten on the plane, was in his mid-40s, looked fine, didn't have any precipitating health history. I guess he found out afterwards he'd actually been under a lot of stress beforehand, but was on the plane with his daughter going on a trip because they were going to take a vacation. So he got on the plane thinking he was healthy because he just didn't have any symptoms. That's not actually health. And unfortunately, the first symptom that he experienced was death. And so imagine, here this daughter's lost her dad. He's no longer going to be contributing much to society, and really,
she has to sit with him for 4 hours.
That's horrible. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, that's a really good point. It's terrible. So, we're going to talk about some tough stuff at the beginning, but it'll get a lot better as we go. There's 3 different categories of stressors: physical, chemical, and emotional. So the physical stressors are pretty easy. Who can give me an example of a physical stressor? Who here works lifting a lot?
Yes. You will
He-
see
no,
my
he's a
name.
stressor.
Yeah, okay.
We went over this last time. Yeah, so I'm fully aware. You don't need to pick on him.
I'm a stress carrier.
Everybody else. Yeah. So you just have to dish it out to get by. I understand. But what would be an example? Who here types a lot at their desk? Anybody? Who here lifts a lot at work? Anybody? So aches and pains, the kind of things that you just sort of you have, but you figure you can just get by with, the things that you sort of learn to live with, old injuries, old surgeries, poor posture, this is a really good one. Car accidents, even small fender benders, we know scientifically predispose us to more stress in our bodies. Sports injuries, I play rugby, football, tennis, even golf, repetitive swinging from golf. Yeah, well that's the thing is actually, as long as you're enjoying it and your body's healthy, all these things can be very healthy. I mean, I still play lots of sports, it can be very stressful to me, but quite well. So emotional stress. Typically, the main two categories, hi, welcome. Nice to see you, I remember you from last time. Were you here last time? Interesting. So the main two emotional stressors we find are finance and romance.